friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jenny. If you are new here, I am the owner of Jenny Provo Designs, and today we're going to do another sew with me. So y'all seem to really enjoy the last time I did one of these. Last time we made fabric bookmarks, and today we are going to make a zippered wallet for my daughter. So she is leaving in 3 days to go to New York City with her choir from her school, and she is so excited. We're very excited for her. It's such an amazing opportunity, but we realized she does not have a wallet, and obviously she's going to be spending some money there on food and some souvenirs and fun stuff. So I wanted to get her a wallet, and I thought, let's make one. Let's have some fun and see what we can do. So I'm not actually following any type of pattern. I kind of just sketched something out on my own. And I did a trial run yesterday for like a wallet for myself. And I'm glad I did this because I definitely found some places that I need improvement. But overall, I think it worked out pretty well. So this is what mine looks like. She picked out a different fabric for hers, but it does have a zipper. And I'll tell you, I feel like the bravest girl on earth for tackling a zipper. I don't know why zippers are so intimidating and so scary, but I think it turned out pretty well. I did have to seam rip one of the sides. I actually stitched too close to the zipper and it was making it really difficult to open and close, and I knew that I would never use this wallet if it was difficult to open and close. So I did have to stitch one of the sides twice, but that's okay, we're learning. So it zips open, and then inside there is kind of shadowy, but there's 2 pockets here. This is not. These 2 card-sized pockets in the liner. Here's the other one here. So one of the things that I realized pretty quickly is that I made my liner the same size as my outer fabric, and because of that, as you can see, my liner is very bunchy. There's just too much extra fabric in here. So first thing I did was increase the size of the outer fabric because I also realized I wanted dollar bills to be able to lay flat in here. I feel like that's the easiest for her to get cash in and out of here, is if they're flat. And we're just a tiny bit too short on that being able to happen. So I increased my outer fabric by a 1/2 inch on each side and kept the inner fabric the same size. So that means that the inner fabric will be a 1/2 inch on each side smaller than the outer fabric. And I'm hoping that that's enough to get rid of some of this bulky bunchiness. I also had a little issue, is it on this side? The zipper didn't line up perfectly on this side when I was sewing. So again, that's just me getting used to sewing zippers, and I'm sure that will improve over time. So I printed out all of my pieces with their dimensions just to help me. So I have my, let's see here. I've got my outer fabric and my inner fabric, my liner. Then I have my liner pocket fabric. So essentially what I'm doing here is I will be adhering some of the Fusible fleece and then folding this in half, top stitching near the top, and then we sew the pockets directly into the liner. So that's why that fabric, it's the same width as the liner fabric, but it's a little bit taller so we can fold it in half. So we've got those pieces. And then I'm using the Pellon Fusible fleece to give it some cushiness and some structure. So I have the piece for the outer fabric and then for that pocket. So here are my fleece pieces. Again, we've got 2 for the outer fabric and then 1 for the pocket. And then the fabrics that she chose were this pretty patchwork pattern from, I think I got this at Hobby Lobby, and so that'll be the outer. And then she wanted the liner and another patchwork, so it's going to be a really fun, colorful wallet. And we are doing the pockets in the same pattern as well. So lots of patterns, lots of colors. It's gonna be really bright and fun. And then I don't have it here, but she also chose a white zipper for this. So we're gonna go ahead and just get started. The first step is going to be ironing the fleece to the outer pieces and the pocket, and then we'll top stitch that pocket. Then we'll adhere the pocket to the liner and then get started on sewing in the zipper and getting the rest of it put together. The one thing that I am kind of struggling with is where to put the seam, or not even the seam, the hole for flipping the wallet inside out. So for this one, let's see if I can pull this out and you can see it. For this one, I did the hole on the side, just because this pocket, and you'll see here in a second once I get this out, the pocket goes all the way to the bottom of the liner. And so I didn't love having the hole be at the bottom. So this is what that pocket piece looks like in here. So it's got the two pockets for the card, and then there are these like tiny little pockets on the side. I thought it might be good for maybe like a chapstick, but it might actually be too tight for that. So for hers, I might end up just sewing these two sides shut, just so nothing gets like trapped on there. But on this one, as you can see, that is where the hole was, right here, and I sewed it. And I guess it looks okay, and it's kind of hidden, but I wonder if it, I don't know, I just don't know if it contributes to some of the weird bulkiness of this. But I really don't want the hole in the seam on the bottom, just because that's where the cards go in. I want them to have a really good solid seam. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to think about it. I'm gonna have to think about it until we get to the point where I need to make a decision. But yeah, maybe with the liner being a little bit smaller in terms of size compared to the outer fabric, that bulkiness will go away and this won't even really be a concern. But yeah, what I'm talking about is you can kind of see here. So that's the side with the stitch. I don't know, it's just, there's just so much extra fabric. So maybe it will resolve with me just making the pieces smaller. We shall see. So yeah, I'm excited to get started, and I guess let's get ironing.
Place where we can go and be alone. So come away with me, nobody has to know.
All right, so we now have the pocket top stitched, and our next step is going to be to add it to the lining fabric. So I have two pieces of the lining fabric, and because this pocket has a lot of flowers on it, and this lining fabric does as well, I think I'm going to use the other one for this pocket. So I think we're just going to kind of do like this. I think that looks really nice. And the way that I'm going to do this, we'll move you in close here. So the way that I'm going to do this, it's not very scientific. There might be an easier way to get this accomplished, but the way I'm going to do it is to measure the midpoint here. So this is 7.5 inches, which means the midpoint is 3 3/4 inches. So that's going to be like right to the left of this flower. So I'm going to go ahead and clip this. We'll clip it on the side and on the bottom to make sure it stays. And I'll measure it one more time to make sure that that is correct. So that 3, yep, so it's the second flower and right to the left of that is going to be the midpoint. So let's move it on over to my sewing machine. I'll turn her on. And we are going to go ahead, try to get you as close in here as possible. And I'm just going to sew a straight line down that area, or as straight as I can get it. So Lord knows, straight lines can be a little difficult. So I am going to backstitch at the beginning just to reinforce this pocket here. All right, that looks really good. Our long strings here. Awesome, that looks perfect. So if you can see here, we now have a stitch in the middle. So that's gonna be the middle of the 2 pockets. So now comes another tricky part where I am basically just going to measure an eyeball, kind of like I did with that. So I have a card here, my daughter's ID. And when I put it in here, we can see that it goes right to that flower. So I make sure that it's in here good. I am going to stitch on the opposite side of that flower. So it's 1, 2, 3, the 4th flower in, we're gonna stitch down the right side of that. Again, very unofficial measuring 1, 2, 3, 4, right side of the 4th flower. So let's stitch that now. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, right side. We'll drop our presser foot. Perfect. Take these clips off. So now we have a pocket. We will test that out. And that fits in there really well. And I don't think, doesn't seem to be too loose. No, that's not falling out. And there's a little bit of extra room on either side, so it's not like super tight either to where it would be hard to get it in and out. You could probably even put a second card in here if you wanted to. So now that we have that pocket, now we need to do one on the other side. So we're gonna do the same thing. Put this card in and try to kind of eyeball where this line will be. So it looks like on this design, the card is gonna end kind of right with that flower, or stem, I guess it is. So I'm going to sew in between this stem here and then that stem there, just to give us a little bit of wiggle room. So we will go ahead and do that now. I am running low on bobbin, so I might have to rewind my bobbin before we stitch up everything else. I'm gonna check one more time to make sure I'm doing it in the right spot here. Okay, perfect. Drop our presser foot. I think right there will be perfect. Awesome. Alrighty. Let's take a look and make sure that this fits as well. Clip this string. Leave it a little bit longer in the back since this won't be seen. Bottom here, we'll clip it a little bit shorter. Take these off. All right. So now we have 2 pockets. This one's a little bit harder to see. Let's make sure that this one fits. And it sure does. It looks great. So this card easily fits in both of these pockets. This one's a little bit looser than the other one. That's all right. Nice and snug in there. So for the one that I made for myself, I did not close these pockets because I thought that they might be good for like small items. But after I had everything sewed, I realized that they probably would be more of a nuisance than anything. Just because they end up, once I'm sewing, they end up quite small. And if you dropped anything down there, like a coin or anything, it might be kind of hard to get it out. So I think now I'm going to sew these 2 little side pockets closed. I think that's the route we're gonna go. So let's go ahead and do that quick. Alrighty, so we sewed both of those pockets closed. Doesn't want to focus. No, it's not focusing. Here we go. All right, I think that will work really well. And this fabric is just fraying like crazy. I noticed that yesterday too when I was working with some of the other fabric, that it just kept fraying. So double check again, these pockets are great. Side pockets are sealed up. And then we will be ready to start sewing the zipper. All right, so as you can see, it's the next day. My night got kind of busy, so we are going to just go ahead and pick up where we left off. So our next step in assembling this wallet is to sew the dreaded zipper. So let me see if I can get you a good angle here to see what I'm doing. Stitch it down. Okay, so I have a piece of my outer fabric, I have my zipper, and I have that lining pocket that we made yesterday. So in order to do this, we're going to put one piece of the outer fabric face up, and then we are going to take the zipper face down and line it just with the top of that outer fabric. And then we are going to take our lining fabric and put that face down as well. So we did cut our lining fabric to be smaller than the outer fabric, so I just need to make sure that that is centered within the outer fabric. I'll pull it this way so I can see a little bit better and get this all clipped up good. Ooh, need a bigger table. All right, so we got that lined up. I want to make sure everything is going the right way. I want to make sure this is centered in this outer piece. And then we can start clipping, and I'll probably have to adjust some of this after we get it clipped. All right, so we've got this clipped. I just need to make some adjustments to make sure that everything is really lined up to the edge. This zipper kind of sunk down a little bit here, so I just want to pull it back up to the edge. This side looks okay, I think. I'm gonna put one more clip in here. Okay, so that's what we got. And now I'm going to go ahead and sew right along this zipper. So in order to do that, I need to put my zipper foot on my sewing machine. I gotta find it. Here it is. I think, right? Yes. So this is what a zipper foot looks like. This is the one that I got with my machine. I will say the first time I had to install this, I was very confused because it wasn't like clamping onto the foot. And then I realized, if you've never seen a zipper foot before, there's a ridge in the middle. And so it's meant to either clip to the left of the ridge or the right of the ridge. And that is so that you can get really nice and close when you are sewing that zipper. So if you have trouble like me getting this in, you have to clip in on one of the sides. Okay, so I'm going to try to show you this close up. So the first step is to turn our machine off. We don't want to accidentally poke ourselves when we're doing this. And then we want to raise our needle as high as it'll go. We're raising the presser foot up, and then there's a button back here You see this black button right here. When we push that, it'll release our regular sewing foot. So we can take that off. And then we'll see if I can actually do this with one hand. We've got our presser foot. And again, I'm gonna do it to the left because that is how I will be sewing with the fabric on this side. So this is the side that I need for this foot. So, like I said, let me see if I can actually do this with one hand. I don't know if I can. But what we're essentially doing is trying to line this bar up with this like notch back here. And we're gonna press our presser foot down to get it in there. And it's not too difficult, but I'm doing it with one hand. So we can see it clicked in there, and now when I lift my presser foot, it grabs it. So it just has this one kind of foot there to guide the fabric, and then the needle will be on this left side so we can get nice and close to that zipper. All right, I think it looks pretty good. My fabric was slipping around on me just a little bit. You can kind of see it here, how it kind of puckered up, but that's okay. There's not much that you can see from the inside, but what we can do here is we can see how it's going to look. So here's the top of the zipper. So here's that outside, and then we've got, this will be one of the inside panels. So what we're gonna do now is I am going to press this with my iron. So this is nice and flat, and then we will come back to the machine to do a top stitch. All right, so we have this pressed pretty flat on both sides, and now we are going to stitch a top seam. All right, I think that looks pretty nice. So you can see that top stitch on both sides. And I forgot to mention earlier as well that when I am sewing zippers, I will use a denim needle. And that is just a tip that I got from a pretty experienced sewer. And so far it has worked out pretty well for me. So if you're having problems with using regular needles when you are sewing zippers, I recommend trying out a denim needle. It has worked pretty well. So just a little tip for you if you are a beginner like me and don't really know a whole lot about needles and needle sizes and all that fun stuff. Yeah, so we've got the first side done. I like to always test the zipper too to make sure I didn't get too close. All right, so now let's do the second side. So we're gonna do the same type of sandwich. So we've got our outer piece face up, and then we've got our zipper teeth down, and then our liner piece face down. So again, I'm gonna flip this a little bit so we can clip it better. But we wanna make sure our outer pieces are all lining up here. The top of the zipper. Alright, so we'll clip it here. Oh, you know what? I need this lining piece, silly me. There we go. Let's try this again. We are sliding around here. All right, so we've got it up against the top, liner. We can adjust this too after we get it fully clipped if we need to. Sometimes I feel like clipping it and lining everything up is like one of the hardest steps. You can just never get everything to line up perfectly, but the fabric is kind of bunching a little bit. My lining fabric. I think that is good. All these pieces are fine. That should be good. So we are going to sew this side here. All right, let's do it. Alrighty, we've got the other side done. I got a little closer to the zipper on this side. I'm definitely still getting used to being more consistent, but let's go ahead and press this flat and we can take a better look at it. Alrighty, so we have both sides top stitched. That looks so good. And the zipper, if I can get a hold of it here, zips perfectly. Awesome. So now we have to clip these to sew along the outer border to fully assemble this. So the first thing I'm going to do is open the zipper so there's just a couple inches open on this side, and we want to clip together the outer fabric and the inner fabric, but we want the zipper teeth to be facing the outer fabric. And this is always kind of tricky for me because they want to naturally face the lining, but it will look kind of wonky when we're all done if they are not facing the outer fabric. So let's see how we can do this here. piece clipped in here. We don't want that. All right, so we've got the teeth facing this way. And then on this side, we just want this to be lined up. And we just want the zipper to be as straight up and down as possible. We don't want it to be too twisted up. So I think that should be good for those pieces. And now we can clip the rest of this here. Like I said before, this fabric is fraying like crazy. Try to get you at a better angle so you can see what I'm doing here. This corner isn't lining up very nicely here. And then we'll line up the lining fabric as best we can. And we're gonna actually start here and then end right about here for that hole to turn it inside out. All right, I think it looks good. Let's get sewing. Oh, one thing I forgot, we need to change our foot back to our normal sewing foot.
I know a place where we can go and be up.
My machine definitely had some difficulties going over that zipper, but I think we're good. So let's go ahead and turn this inside out and see what it looks like. Oh, you know what? Actually, I am gonna cut these corners. And I need to cut the excess zipper off. All right, now we can flip it inside out. All right, so I'm gonna go through this isn't, there we go. I'm just using the end of a paintbrush to poke these corners out. I don't know if they have like an official like corner poke tool, but I should really get one because this works. I feel like it could definitely be better. Alright, now we gotta poke these corners out. There we go. Alright, and then I left the hole on the side. I decided to do the side again. So we will go ahead and sew this shut. It's a little tricky on the side, but I think we can manage. Maybe. Alright, I gotta fold this over. And again, this is kind of just like a random, I sewed the top of this shut, so there's not a pocket here. We're not taking up any pocket space by having the seam on the side. All right. Be a little tricky because the top of this starts so close to the zipper. So in the future, I will make sure to start this a little bit lower down, but I think we can manage to get it closed. Might not be very pretty, but it will be hidden. So let's see here. I might have to go maybe from this side instead. All right, maybe I can get this in here. All right, I don't think that looks too bad at all. I wish this would focus. All right, moment of truth. All right. Poke out all these corners. Oh, this is perfect. Oh yes, much better than the one I made before. Just looking here, this side didn't look like it got pushed out enough. I still don't know if I'm doing the zipper part right for the corners. Still feels like it's taking up a lot of corner space instead of being like all the way up an unzipper. But again, I think that will come with practice. But this looks so good inside. Look at how nice that lining is. It's not bunched up. And then we kind of put the cards in here. All right, I got another card. I'll be right back. This is perfect. I am so excited. Okay, so this is what it looks like. It's so cute. Zip it. Oh, and then we've got cards and the money does fit flat. It's just barely in there. So I could probably make it even like a 1/2 inch larger to get money in there flat, but it's in there, and I think it's pretty easy to put in and out. I think if there was more than just like one bill in here, it would go in a little bit smoother, but this looks so good. I am so excited. I think she's gonna love it. Yeah, look at that. Those card spots are perfect. Wow. This turned out really well. And the side seam, you know, you can see it of course, but it's not, you're not looking at it like, ooh, what's that, you know? Wow, this looks really good. I'm very happy with this. All right, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this kind of tutorial, kind of just sew with me. I would love to know if you sewed along with me, if you made something like this, or if you made something different. Let me know in the comments. I would love to hear. And I would also love ideas for another sew with me. Is there something that you would like to see me make? Let me know. Let me know in the comments. Visit my social media. I'm Jenny.Provo on Instagram and TikTok, and Jenny Provo Designs on Facebook. I would love to connect with you all. So thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.